if you have been in the politics as long as Raila, it would not be an accident that you have the oldest political party. It's not because he's the best politician or the most able, as ODM would like us to believe. It is because he's the oldest by far. And I raise that because when I say oldest, I mean, many years back, you can look at the age of our leaders by the time they bow out. The age of Mwai Kibaki when he bowed out and left the presidency. The age of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. The age of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And so I want to say that in Africa, the succession of, and particularly in Kenya, the succession within political parties sometimes depends on the life of the party leader and how long he lives or does not live. What the issue will now be is whether or not there is any ability of the political class to be allowed to safeguard themselves. Because in the conduct of the political parties as they are now, they become parties that are not exercising the manifestos or the delegation of authority given to them by the people, but they are unilaterally conducting themselves for the sake of power and power alone. But what is fast unfolding is that it was a political deal that was made between ODM and the Kenya Kwanza regime element that includes William Ruto's UDA. And that because of that failure, they have to accommodate Raila and ODM further in order to achieve political goals of 2027. Why am I raising this issue? I'm raising it because as long as there is no constitutional mechanism to regulate how these leaders and how these parties conduct themselves, then what we are basically doing is deceiving the electorate every time we have a general election. And I can tell you that the parties as have gone on, they have become led by the leader. I think Kagwanja said ODM has been the longest of Raila. But I want to tell Kagwanja respectively, that's because the leader is 84 years old. I mean, if you have been in the politics as long as Raila, it would not be an accident that you have the oldest political party. It's not because he's the best politician or the most able, as ODM would like us to believe. It is because he's the oldest by far. And I raise that because when I say oldest, I mean, many years back, you can look at the age of our leaders by the time they bow out. The age of Mwai Kibaki when he bowed out and left the presidency. The age of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. The age of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And so I want to say that in Africa, the succession of, and particularly in Kenya, the succession within political parties sometimes depends on the life of the party leader and how long he lives or does not live. Because even in Wamalwa Kijana, the changes in his party began only when he passed away. So I am saying that it is so individualized that once a political party has a political leader, it has no space for the people in between. My last comment about the issue tonight, so that I can leave the space for everybody else, I want to argue that maybe the next election of 2027, if my reading of the ground is correct, if my reading of the Gen Z is correct, this is going to be a rude shock and a rude awakening. There is going to be a rebellion against the status quo. It may not be entirely across the length and the breadth of all the politics, presidency, governor, but there will be a major element, percentage of change and surprises from the MCA all the way up to all the other seats up to the presidency. I believe there is going to be a shakeup that is going to go beyond the party leader, and it might begin to test the 2010 constitution in a better way and for the benefit of all other Kenyans. The most important issue that we must decide today is to be, say what we mean and mean what we say through honesty. We must not criminalize the young people of Kenya for believing in a better Kenya. We cannot make them receive names and actually condemnation for which they have done nothing. Because a lot of the young people expressing themselves have done so ourselves, have done it the most sincere way they can. But because there has been political interference in protests, there has been an upload of violence. And that violence has been meted against young people unevenly, even though there has been some concern about criminal elements and how to contain them. What has happened is that the policy of the government has been, I better be feared than loved. That's a Machiavellian principle. Presidents around the world, right from Hitler, have decided the doctrine of fear against the doctrine of love. So I want to be on record that the young people of this nation on the 24th of June 2024 came out spontaneously and came out to the surprise of all of us, asking for a better Kenya. How that has been misused by all people from all political sides does not defeat the point that a government cannot criminalize the right of people to protest and then use state power to kill them. I also want to say this, and I want to be very clear about this issue, about how we are going to get out of this problem. We are not going to get out of this problem by shooting and killing Kenyans. I want to be the first person to say on the Bearer's show today that killing and shooting the public has never brought democracy. From Idi Amin to Kamuzu Banda, to Hastings, to Hastings Kamuzu Banda, to Bokassa, to Bashir in Sudan, and Sid Barre in Somalia. There is no solution that can come from targeting your population, however many bullets you have, however many people you kill. The only way out of this solution is to accept that we have a 2010 constitution. The 2010 constitution has limited presidential power. Whether William Ruto wants to agree or not, he is no longer Daniel Moi. He is not Jomo Kenyatta. He does not enjoy the powers they did because there is a constitution that has curtailed presidential power. There is a constitution that has brought in an independent police force. There is a constitution that has brought in our judiciary. And what I am saying is that it is going to surprise all these men who are acting outside the 2010 constitution when that same constitution turns against them. Last week, I saw a police officer facing murder charges alone on the dock. I didn't see Mukomen and I did not see the police. He shot someone and was charged with the charge of murder. The time is coming when individual criminal responsibility will be put on each and every person that has taken unnecessary life by whatever reason that they think they can hide behind pronouncement of politicians. So as I close, I want to say that yes, we can make this a discussion as to whether Kenya is in anarchy or Kenya is lawless. But that discussion has already been covered and answered by the 2010 Constitution. The 2010 Constitution has envisaged all these problems and has created the mechanisms, including peaceful protests, to be able to resolve differences between the government and the governed. It is those who want to act outside the 2010 Constitution who think that they can shoot their way out of the law. And I want to say this as I conclude, that Winston Churchill said, never in the history of mankind has so much been owed by so many to so few. So to the gallant young men and children of this nation for who have died, I want to say never in the history of Kenya has so much been owed by all of us to so few. My name is Tony Gachoka.